Okay, good morning, everyone. That's a good sign. I will tell you, the last couple weeks, this girl has been down and out. I have not been feeling good. So I have been here, but if I have not shown up with the same energy as normal, that is, yeah, it was not here. So, anyways, I'm glad to see everyone. I'm glad to be a little bit more clear headed this morning coming into this call. And I've got some good stuff for you today. So, where I thought we would start is if you would all open up your chat boxes. What I want to share is what you're seeing in the market. Okay. Because I know what I hear from my clients and I want to hear what everybody else is experiencing. So I want you to tell me, is it hard to find things for buyers? Are you writing escalation clauses again? Are lots of people walking away, right? Are you having lots of pending fallouts? Are your listings easy to sell, hard to sell, a little of both? Okay, so throw those in there and let's just put together a big picture of this group and kind of what you're experiencing in the market right now. Because I think it'll be interesting. And you can yell it out. If some of you are driving, feel free to come off mute and just yell it out. We're casual here, so, and we don't care if we hear your dogs. But tell me what you're experiencing. Okay, I can only see four people or three people, and it looks like you're typing. Are you typing or? Okay. Well, I can tell you what I'm seeing at least, and then you guys can thumbs up or thumbs down it and kind of let me know. Okay. So, it feels like buyers are looking for a long time. We've got a lot of people that are just waiting for the perfect house. Okay, I'm seeing some heads shake. So, yes, confirm this stuff with me. So, yeah, everyone has these long lists of buyers that if we could find the right house, and what's on the other end of those buyers finding the right house, they have a house to sell, right? Well, think about what that's doing to the inventory, right? It creates this chicken and egg thing. So that's going to be your challenge here for a little bit is how do you get these buyers off the fence and jumping to get their houses on the market in order to get houses for all these other buyers that are waiting for the perfect house, right? If everyone's waiting and sitting on their listing, what if their listing is the perfect house for someone else? So pay attention, right? This is the exact reason to call your sphere and understand if anyone is even considering selling in the next 3 years. I should probably at least know about it now because if there's an opportunity to have a conversation, right, I want to know and I want to be on top of all that stuff. So, okay, so that's one of the challenges happening in the market right now is your buyers needing the perfect place and looking. And those of you that hopped on late, we're just talking about what you're seeing in the market right now with your buyers and sellers. I'd love for you to throw it in the chat box or tell me. No one really did. So now I'm just kind of saying what I'm hearing. And so I'm having everybody verify that with me. Second thing, listings, difficult to price, right? You think they're going to sell quickly. We've got some listings that I'm back to escalation clauses, right? You guys writing escalation clauses again? Multiple offers, all of that kind of stuff. And then we've got some that are sitting and on the sitting. And when I say sitting, I'm saying even 2.5, 3 weeks feels long, right? But a lot of contingency offers. Are you guys writing contingency offers right now? Contingent upon the sale of another home? No? Okay, get used to that. Okay, because this entire chicken egg we just talked about, you're going to need opportunities to be creative with deals and how you put them together. Okay. All right. So the other thing that we're seeing a lot of, and this is what we're going to cover today, is pending fallout. How many of you are seeing buyers walk away more than they have in the past? Okay. Okay. I want to make sure I'm not just making this stuff up. So yes, your pendings are falling apart, right? And that's on the seller and the buyer side. Right? So here's what I want to talk to you about today. The word I use for this is bulletproofing your transactions, right? Building a wall around your transactions, because if I worked so hard to get those transactions, they were not going to fall apart between closing, right? So this is where my whole mentality came from in creating this part of the script book is we are going to keep these deals together as best we can. And what I realized is, what's the number one reason a deal falls apart? Oh, you guys were putting stuff in the chat box. I didn't have it open. See, my brain's just starting to work, but I'm figuring it out. All right.
Miscommunication.
Okay. Miscommunication. Yeah. What else?
Not fully understanding the process.
Okay. Yeah. Setting expectations, right? They don't fully understand the process. They don't know what to prepare for. Yep. Inspections. Okay. Inspections are a big one. And all of these boil down to one of the parties getting emotional. Do you agree with that? A lot of the times they make emotional decisions, and it's when emotions escalate that we start seeing the challenges in deals. Okay. So one of the things that you can do to bulletproof your transactions is to make sure they're prepared for all of this before they face it. Okay. So I have two things we're going to do today with this. Number one, I've got some of these written out for the buyers. I want you to help me with what we're missing. Okay, so once we jump into these, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And I already know one that needs to be in here. But these are opportunities to have the conversations to bulletproof your buyer transactions before you get into them and while you're in them. Okay, so two things I want you to be thinking about as you look at these lists. Number one, I guarantee you're all saying this already. Okay, so this is not to give you anything that's like, oh, I never say that. I guarantee you say it more times than you think. My process was always, if I say it more than twice, it needs to be written down and become a system. Okay, so you're already saying these things. What I want you to think about is, where are these showing up in your process with your buyers? Okay, where are they built in already so that every single buyer gets the same conversation and the same prep on their emotions? Okay. So one of the tools that I used for this was I recorded videos. I think this stuff is really important for them to hear you say it and hear the tone in your voice. Okay. So these showed up in, this first one is I'm going to share my screen in just a minute. The first one is one you're going to use before the process. The other ones are kind of during the process. Let's go to that inspection one, right? There's a lot of things we can prepare them for emotionally about inspections. So before their inspection, we had an email that we would send to that. Here's how to prepare for your inspection, right? And it's physically, here's the questions to ask, right? Here's what we want to make sure you walk away knowing. Here's what a major defect means and what we're actually looking for when we're doing the inspection. Okay, so I would record videos of these and send it along with the email written that walks through all of it. So then before their inspection, every buyer got this to prepare them. Okay, so that's what I mean. Think about where it shows up in your process, these bullet pointing things, and where you need to build them in your process if they're not. Okay, any questions on that? All right. So what I'm putting in front of you looks like the script book. It matches your script book right now, but it is also one I can take some notes on and make changes because I think we're going to add things to this because you guys are dealing with so much of this right now. Okay, managing buyer emotions. This is where we're going to start. There's a whole section on seller emotions also, but what I'm seeing is a lot of buyers that are walking away right now. So I thought we'd start with these, okay? So the process, this is the one James said. The process I found that there was the most emotion around was how many houses they're going to see and how do they make sure they've really done their due diligence on the market. Okay, so what my process was, now again, change this for what you think works. But ours was, we want to see your top three favorites. Okay. We are going to see hundreds of houses online potentially, right? From you out there searching, you doing your homework and all that kind of stuff. And here's how this process is going to work. You're going to look through the houses. And once you see the ones you think you want to go into, you're going to drive the neighborhood first and look for any red flags that are out there, right? How many of you already say that to your buyers as part of your process, right? Make sure it's written down and they can be reminded of as they go through. Okay. So when you see a house, make sure you're driving by to knock that out, right? Any red flags on the location or the home. Once it's past these steps, it might be time to walk through. Okay. And I always warn them, because we've done so much homework and we're only walking through the very best ones, it's possible you could write an offer on the first one we walk into. Okay, prepare them for that. How many times you have buyers that are like, oh, I don't feel like I've seen enough, right? How am I ready? Continue to confirm with them you're ready, right? Build their confidence so their emotion doesn't come up about second guessing what they're doing. Okay. And then if we go through 3 houses and we haven't written an offer, we got to reassess our search. Okay. Because that's exactly what I found. If we see 3 houses that work really well, now again, work well. You guys know what works well. You know what you walk in, you're like, yeah, nope, this wasn't it. We get it. Look different online, not the house. But if you go through 3 and it seems like, yeah, all 3 of those could have worked for them, it is really time to reassess their search. They're missing something on their motivation, right? Ready, willing, and able. Are they ready, willing, and able? Or are they in the wrong market? Okay, so this rule is going to help you a lot as you end up with all these buyers on your list that are doing things.
Julie,
Okay,
what do you
yeah,
mean by wrong? What do you mean by wrong market?
great question. So, when we talk about like a buyer's or seller's market, here would be an example of a buyer in the wrong market. Okay, so they write 3 offers and they write at list on 3 and they lose them all because the other buyers go 10,000 over and they can't go 10,000 over. That means
Right.
what they have to do to get a house right now, they may not be able to do. And that means they may be in the wrong market because right now that's what it takes to get the kind of house they want.
No, no, I get that,
Does that
and
make
that's
sense?
true.
Okay.
However, you use wrong market
Mm-hmm.
in terms of you have taken them to 3 homes and they haven't made an
Yeah.
offer. So that's what I'm
Yeah.
asking. What do you mean by wrong market? Reference
Yeah.
to
So
they
same
haven't
thing.
pulled the
Yeah.
trigger.
Yeah. So it may mean like all those reasons. They may mean the wrong market for a lot of things. Number one, are they looking in the wrong place or the wrong price point? Right? So we've seen 3, these aren't working. So something's off on our search. Do we need to increase your price point? Do we need to decrease your price point? Right? Maybe we've got a key feature on there they're looking for that's not existent in their price point. Right? We want a 4-car garage under 200. I'm using an extreme one, of course. Right? And you're like, that's the wrong market. I don't have that right now. Maybe in 1990, I had a 4-car, but you're in the wrong market because what
Right.
you want out of this market does not exist. Does that make sense? So they might be wanting more than they can get in the current market. They may be not wanting to pay what they need to get a house in the current market.
Right.
They may not be in a position. Here's the other thing with the contingencies. If you have a house to sell and the house you want is going to go fast, 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 you're probably in the wrong market to write a contingency. And we need to look at, and here's where I call market. Okay. So follow this. We need to look at a market where maybe the houses are sitting for 2 weeks without an offer. And then we can write a contingent offer on one of those. Okay, does that make sense? So there is a market out there for them. They have to make sure they're targeting the correct market to succeed. Did that help? Did I lose you guys?
It
Okay.
did. Thank you.
Okay, good, good. Yes. So lots of things cause their specific market. And that's an important thing to keep having in your head, right? Is are they looking in their right market for what they want and need and for what is available out there in their areas and their price point? Great question. Okay. Buyer's remorse. I don't care what market you're selling in, buyer's remorse is a thing. Okay. And here's exactly the conversation I would have for them. And I would send this as soon as they got an accepted offer. Okay. And here's what I tell them about buyer's remorse. Buyer's remorse is real. Here's what's going to happen. Tonight, you're going to wake up after we have this accepted offer at 3 in the morning. Your eyes are going to open. You're going to panic. Your heart's going to race. And you're going to go, what did we do? Why did we take that house? And you're going to start second guessing everything. And here's what I'm going to tell you. It's okay. Okay. What I want you to do is text me all your feelings when you're feeling that. Text it to me. My notifications are off, so I will not hear it at 3 in the morning. I will hear it when I wake up. I want to know everything you're feeling. And then when you wake up the next morning, we're going to talk through all of it. Okay? Because what happens when you have that conversation ahead of time? How do you think that can be helpful for them if they have that conversation ahead of time?
You're just setting expectations, knowing that they're going to be like, oh, yeah, well, Julie told me this was going to happen.
Yep, that's exactly right. She knew this was going to happen. We expected this, and it will immediately calm their nerves. 9 times out of 10, they won't even text you. You will have that 1 in 10 that will text you all their thoughts, and now you know. And your morning text is, good morning, you did awesome, don't panic, I'm walking into appointments, can we chat at 11 and go through all this? Why are we chatting at 11? Because I have lead generation. So I'm going to handle all that stuff before, set them up, let them know when I'm getting back to all their stuff. Okay. And we're just going to talk through it, right? That 1 out of 10, maybe you shouldn't have gotten that house, right? It definitely happens, but we're hoping that you are okay and that this is just a little emotional hump we've got to get over. Okay. So think about that, and then think about, where are you sending this? Is this a text as soon as they get an accepted offer? I'm so excited. Yay, we got an accepted offer. And I want to remind you, here's what might happen tonight. Okay, so think through where these are in your process. That's what we're working on most in this, okay? Buyer's regret. Okay, here's the difference in buyer's regret versus remorse. Remorse is when they've already bought the house. I call buyer's regret when they're comparing it to something they never even got into. How many buyers do you know, there's a house that goes on the market, they're like, that's our house, but we can't see it. It sells, and then they're constantly comparing everything back to that house. How many of you have dealt with that? Yeah. Okay. So this is to warn them that that is okay, and that house was not your house. Okay, so as much as you loved it, had we gone in it, there was probably, that's what my experience has told me. There probably was a reason that that house did not go through and wasn't ready for you when you got there. And I'm really open with them, and it truly, never in my career did I have anyone purchase a house and regret it because of something else. It always works out that they really loved the house they were in and that it all worked out for a reason. But it's important for you to tell them that, because a lot of buyers will do this. They'll see a house online, fall in love with it, right? And we know the reality. When you walk in them, they don't look like they do online. So the idea that they built up in their head may not even match what they were actually looking for. Okay? Major defects. I put this in here because this is what I think we need to add to this. Okay? This is important to talk through with your buyers before they go into the inspection. I always tried to use the inspection language, okay? So it's always best if you can just pull it right off the inspection response pages, okay? But you want to explain to them, the point of the inspection is to look for major defects and major defects only. We are not looking for maintenance issues they didn't take care of and little piddly things, okay? What is a major defect? What defines a major defect? That is anything that could affect the value, the price we're paying for the property, the habitability, your ability to live in that property, and your health and safety. Okay? So you need to keep all three of those things in mind. So, and maybe even give them examples of what those would be, right? Here's an example of something. So, are you prepared to move forward on a house if we have a lot of little things but no major defects? Right? So, that's the first conversation you have to have because it does get overwhelming when they get the report. A lot of little things, right? And then you've got to kind of spell them out. Remember major defects, remember major defects, remember major defects. Okay? So think about that. This is one that can be put numerous times throughout your process. It needs to be done definitely in there. What to prepare for your inspection, right? How to get ready for your inspection. Here's what we're looking for, right? Here's the questions to ask the inspector. The stuff like where's the major water line shut off, right? So it was just little things like that. Make sure you ask these questions while you're in the inspection. And remember what we're looking for in the inspection is major defects. Okay. Then, once the inspection's done, you need to warn them about how they're going to feel when they get that report. Right? How many buyers panic when they open that report and start freaking out? This house is awful. It's not been maintained. They didn't do anything to it. Right? So having the conversation before to warn them they're going to feel that way helped so much. Okay, so whether you send it with the report, so we did that, had the inspector send it to us, and we were able to send the report to them and say, here's what we want you to pay attention to as you read through this report, and here's what it's going to feel like when you open it. Okay, so when they open it, that's what this script is. It's going to be totally overwhelming, right? Remember, the point is to uncover any major defects, right? And you and I will prioritize those together. Okay, my process was always, I want you to write down, I want you to mark all of the major defects you see on the report and why. I'm going to write down the major defects I see and why, and you and I are going to talk tomorrow at 2 p.m. and compare notes. Okay, and think about that too. If you're telling them only to circle the major defects and tell you why they think it affects one of those things, right? Then you can have a real conversation about how to move through the negotiating points, right? Okay, so keep them thinking major defects. Make sure you prepare them for what it's going to feel like when they get the report, and also what it's like to negotiate with sellers, right? The sellers will likely not give you everything. Is that what you're seeing? Most of the time they want to negotiate. If they've sat on the market for a while, it's likely because they could be a little overpriced, right? Because if they were priced perfectly, it might have been gone. And when the buyers get there, they do think they have more negotiating room, right? Now the sellers will work with us maybe a little bit more. Okay, so make sure they understand what kind of market they're buying in. And when we submit this list, here's how your sellers are going to feel now. They might feel overwhelmed. They might feel scared they can't keep this deal together. But don't worry, we're going to work through it together. And when they respond, right, don't get emotional. I don't want you to think anything about taking personally how they respond. It's another negotiating piece. As soon as we get it, we're going to compare it with what we asked for, and we're going to go back and again see what major defects they're not addressing and which ones we have to have addressed in order to continue to move forward. Okay, I'm making these notes. What are we missing there on the inspection piece that you've seen? Reasons people have walked away from deals recently because of the inspection that maybe we could have warned them. Okay, good. As you see these in your transactions, Josh, did you have one? Oh, you're on mute. Sorry, I thought you'd come off mute.
I did, but I'm thinking about, never mind.
Okay. I want you to say it because we can work through it too and see if we need it.
It's the unknown.
Okay, what do you mean by the unknown?
The uh the inspection hints towards more unknowns. Things like as simple as like the unknown of how much longer the furnace is going to work, to the unknown of like, hey, this is a problem. We have a defective subfloor piece here, but what is that going to do? Like, we don't know the scope of how much damage it is yet. Can we ask for
That's a great one.
all of it on top of that? So it's like addressing the unknown in a way that's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's weird.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a really good one. And I did write that down. And let me tell you just off the top of my head, and then you tell me if I'm hitting this correctly. So, what I typically would talk about with the unknown is if there's anything that comes up that we don't have a clear answer from the inspector, that's okay. The inspector is to know a lot about a little, and then we may need to get experts in who know a lot about what we're dealing with. Okay, so we will look at the inspection report, and anything that feels unknown, we're not just going to settle with unknown. We're going to get the experts in, and it might take us some time to do that, but to work us through and get us all the information we need to make a good educated decision on it. Does that help?
Yep, that's the direction. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I will add that in here so that you guys know, and I think that's a great one because there are going to be some things that, right, could cause issues if we don't know. Extended life might be another one you want to add in there, right? He mentioned the furnace. That's something that we have on their check sheet to look for, right? What kind of furnace filter is it? Can you easily access them? That's ask your inspector that. And number 2, what's the life of the furnace and how old is it? How much life do we have left in it? So that's a good one. A lot of the appliances and stuff, you will get that information. And it's good to talk through that before you face it. What will your thoughts be if we run into a furnace that is at the end of its useful life but still functioning? What are your thoughts on that right now? Talking about some of those before you even get into the inspection process, right? When you're looking at the home to write the offer, think about having that conversation right there on the spot, right? When you're looking at the furnace together. Okay. Good. All right. This is the last one. This is one that, yes, I had a lot of people panic the final walkthrough. Okay. Most of the time when buyers panic on a final walkthrough, it is because everything's out and now it shows all the nicks in the walls. It shows all the sun stains on the carpet. Your windows aren't covered anymore. So all the daylight's coming in, right? You're seeing every flaw on the earth. And that is normal. Okay, that is normal. You got to remember it was lived in and there were things covering all that stuff when you walked through. So prepare them for that, right? Prepare them that the house is going to look lived in, right? Prepare them that there might be boxes everywhere. Prepare them that the walkthrough is truly to make sure, number 1, the house is still standing. Number 2, nothing went through the walls while they were moving out. And number 3, all of our inspection items that we requested are done, right? It's not to re-inspect the property. It's not to, right? That's the only 3 things we're there for. Okay. Full packing mode, if they're in, it could be in a lot of disarray, right? Just warn them of this stuff ahead of time, just so that they'd have no reason for their anxiety and their emotion to increase. They are highly emotional at this point in the transaction. Right? So remember, they are as stressed as they've ever been. And what we realized, taking away this final stress for them, the last thing before closing, made a huge difference on how our buyers started walking into closing. Okay? And every one of them, some will have these emotional issues, some will not. Okay, and I think I got that. And then, right, when there was furniture in it and all that kind of stuff, now it's vacant, it's going to be shocking to you. Okay, so did you get some ahas this morning? Good. I want you to think of where are you putting these messages in your process? Where are you writing it? How are you delivering it to every buyer every single time so that we can do our very best to pull all the emotion out or prepare them they're going to be emotional and keep these deals together. Okay? So this is ultimate bulletproofing. The other thing I want you to do is put in the chat box anything we missed. Anything you want that we've missed on emotions. I'll hang around for the next couple minutes and I'll see everybody next week. Bye. Good, Steve. I'm going to add that in. We will get quotes. And what if we don't know? Okay, good. You're welcome, everybody.